Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. It's on a Monday evening. It's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing? I paced myself this time
I saw that.
so I could get
Yeah.
it right instead of rushing through the
Yeah.
intro. But how are you doing?
I'm doing just dandy. That was a great intro. Nice recovery compared to last week.
Well, I
Although I
mean,
enjoyed last
you liked
week's.
West Coast, so
Yeah, I did. I really did like West Coast, but hey, I'll go with classic or traditional style too. It's fine.
variety's
Yeah.
the spice of life.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I am doing well, very busy of
Yeah.
late. I picked up a side gig as a tech, a lighting and sound tech for one of my local improv theaters. I do that on the weekends in the evening, and it's scratching that itch that I haven't had been able to scratch in a long time. So
That's good.
yeah, it's very good. How about you? How's things?
These days, just kind of plugging away at work stuff. I'm trying to learn, trying to pick up some skills with Unity, doing some 2D animation stuff, which I would like to apply for Calamity Jane as well, but that's later on, and maybe in a future stream we'll explore some stuff using skeletal systems and bones. But for now, I'm not well versed enough to where I feel comfortable going on stream and having to fudge through stuff as much.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I fudge through stuff every week, I don't know what it is, why this is any different, but I just feel like I need to have some more swear word time with Unity to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
us talk about it. So yeah, with that said, though, I will roll into us talking while I draw stuff. So I will share, and here we
Okay.
are.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And
So
we've
I know you've been busy, so I figured you may not have had a chance to talk to Jeff, our
no,
special talented voice actor for Mitchell. But
no, yes.
no worries, we have plenty of poses left for Jeff to come in and talk over while we're doing our thing. So, but I
Yeah.
am on this pose now, so I'm gonna
Okay.
do this pose today, and we'll keep going.
I got
Yeah,
triple booked on Sunday, uh,
Mhm.
and and was gonna see Jeff, but I had to cancel my plans to see him, and in favor
Yeah.
of some other things. One of which was doing a show at Village, which I think went really well, and
Hmm.
hopefully I impressed the guy I was working for. It was actually a freelance gig. It wasn't for Village, um, and which is the improv theater. I feel like context probably explain that, but just in case.
Now to give
So,
it just to add in a little bit more context
mm,
too. So this is a theater that you had a really good session with a couple weeks ago, right?
yeah, yeah,
And I mean just trying to adding more context just to
right. Yeah, this is
so
the same.
you had a
This is the
really good
same
flow
theater.
with this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean it's going well, and hopefully I can keep that momentum up. Frankly, um, I'm pretty much for the rest of the month. There's only 2 days in the rest of the month on the weekend at least that I'm not working there. So they seem like they trust me, which is good. That's what you're working for.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm really digging it. So anyway, I was not available to hang out with Jeff, and I was going to bring it up to him then, and I got completely sidetracked more than anything else. So
Yeah. No
um,
worries at all. There's going to be plenty more drawings to do, and
indeed,
we'll
indeed.
see him soon enough. So no biggie. Um, yeah, in this particular scene,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna break it down here. Yeah, he's gonna go from this to pop in and kind of settle in here. But I'm not gonna do the animation. I'm just gonna try to get the pose in for tonight.
Okay,
Um, yeah. In the meantime, there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about.
I'm ready.
Even before streaming, we kind of do our warm ups, trying to get ready, get
Right, trying to
everything,
get in the
all the buttons work.
headspace.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
first of all,
Like any
they're
good
just
improv set, you got to warm up.
yeah.
And that's
Well,
really what we're doing here. I mean, there's no script.
there's
Like,
all
there's no
yeah,
papers on my
there's
desk telling me what topics to bring up. This is all free form.
yes, but there was some. You brought up some great topics that I'd love to talk about. But
Okay.
also, I wanted to throw in some stuff on my side too that
Well,
I get a chance
please, I
to.
usually monopolize these things, so please.
It's fine because yeah, you talk, I draw. It totally works. It doesn't, whatever. And I can take over too, and I can be annoying. so where you can actually kind of settle it down. So
Hey,
that's
no,
good
wait a
too.
second. Are you
Sort of.
implying that I'm annoying?
No, I'm saying that I'm annoying.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's why I said me. Not you.
I
You
gotcha,
can you
gotcha.
talk and you can yeah, and that's fine. Where me, once I get going, I can kind of keep going and get annoying. And
Well, I haven't reached that threshold yet. So please, what was the what was it that you
um,
wanted to bring up?
I found so again only because I only buy games on sale these days because I'm a cheapskate. But I
Uh,
bought Super Mario World 3D World on the Switch with
mm-hmm.
Bowser's Fury.
Mm-hmm.
My damn, that's a good game. I can't believe how good this game is. I
Yeah.
can't. It is so well designed. The levels are amazing. I can't. I'm just kind of floored with how. Like, I didn't think I'd get that caught up into a Mario game since Mario Galaxy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But this game's terrific. I can't
Yeah.
get over how good it is. And on top of that, it's got multiplayer too.
Mm-hmm.
So four players can play couch co-op. I guess I'm
It's
assuming.
online as well.
Yeah. So online meaning you have to have a friend on your account to play with online, right? Or can
No,
you play with
it's
randos?
you. I've played with randos, or
Really?
have I? I know I've played it online with friends. I don't remember if I don't know if you can play with randos actually.
Okay.
I've only ever played it online with friends.
Okay. All right. Yeah, but it's what a great game. I didn't even like even it's even nuanced to where this is all news to you, and this is where it can kind of get annoying for people that have played it or like you that have played it. But for me, I'm discovering for the first time. So Mario has unique
Mm-hmm.
sort of unique jump direction or ability and speed, and Luigi and of course Peach can float, and I haven't figured out the nuances for each character, but
Well, you haven't even unlocked
um
all the characters either.
what? There's more characters? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
cool. So wait, in the base game, there's characters to unlock, or are you talking about Bowser's Fury?
No,
There's
base.
characters
There's
to unlock.
base game. There's only one character
Okay.
left, but yeah, you don't unlock that character for a while.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, every character like Toad is super fast. It's basically
Okay.
it's the stat breakdown from Super Mario Brothers 2.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Mario's the
that's
most
helpful.
balanced. Luigi jumps the highest but slides more. Toad
Okay.
runs the fastest but jumps the lowest, and then Peach is relatively slow, but she can float. Her jump, she's got that
Yeah.
hover jump.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, Super Mario 3D World is amongst the best of the 3D Mario games in my opinion. And it
Yeah,
was always
it's
a shame because it came out on the Wii U originally, so no one played it. I mean, except for
yeah,
me, of
yeah,
course. But
yeah.
but have you tried out Bowser's Fury yet?
No, I think I'm trying to be all traditional about it. I'll play through this one. 3D World first, then I'll go to Bowser's because Bowser's Fury is a sequel, right? So.
No, it's completely unrelated.
Oh, really?
It's not related at all to Super Mario.
Oh,
It is a
okay.
completely standalone game that has
Okay.
no bearing. Not I mean, there's no storyline. You can only play as Mario. There's no other characters.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Um, and
So I'm not gonna be
it is also quite good in my opinion. But yeah,
as
you can
good.
yeah. Well, it's much shorter than Super Mario 3D World,
Okay.
and it's a very very different play style.
Oh,
I'm reluctant to. I want you to kind of come in fresh and let me know what your thoughts are.
okay.
I
All
loved
right.
it. I loved it, but as we've figured out multiple times, I'll give you recommendations that are just completely fall flat. So,
Nah. Yeah. And again, vice versa. I do that to you too. So we get
yeah,
revenge on each other all the time. But to your credit, you told me about this game
yeah,
eons ago, ages ago. And I mean, it's just been on my queue forever. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and play it. But I figured, oh, it's on sale. I might as well give this a shot. Um, so I was playing the game The Messenger for a while, but I put that on the side. It's like, okay, I'm at a point now where it's kind of plateaued the fun factor. Like I know what I gotta do, but I still want to. And it's getting to that point where it's a little tedious. Like,
hmm
do I want to do that or not? No, I'll play something else. So I'm adopting your theory, which is just eject button and play something fun when you're in the mood to
hmm
play something fun. But the completionist in me is kind of going crazy. It's like, yeah,
Join me on the
but
dark side,
yeah, I know,
James.
but I have been going on the dark side a little bit. Speaking of dark side too, now we could pause and talk about this even more, and
All
rant
right,
about 3D World.
yeah,
But also, I've watched Andor. I texted you about this, like how I was going nuts with how annoyed I was with the first
yeah,
three
it's a real
episodes.
shame.
But in episode 4, started picking up.
Okay.
Once he, okay, we're doing minor spoilers here. This has been out for a couple of weeks now, I think. But once he left his home base planet,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's picked up a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still not enough. But it is more interesting now.
That's
But it
interesting.
is, but it is following the same. To me, it's following the same thing as Rogue One. I know he's got these people around him, and I'm just gonna make the assumption that they all die. I don't
Yeah,
know.
almost certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so. There's no drama. There's nothing there that's pulling me to
Sure.
care about anything yet. And
I
it's and
understand
it's,
that.
it's kind
Yeah.
of it's like a cheat because I already know. It's like So I don't. So my human side says I'm not gonna get attached to this character, although I like this character. Nope, I won't do it because like in my head as a viewer, I'm like I'm just putting this person here for me to pull on my heartstrings, a little bit.
I
But
can I
you,
can
on the other
relate to
side,
that. Yeah, I mean, I can
yeah.
relate to that. That was the way I felt ultimately about Game of Thrones, when
Mm-hmm.
they would just indiscriminately kill protagonists. It just got to the point where it's like, well, I'm just not going to get attached to any of these characters because what is the point, right? And
Yeah.
so I see your perspective. For me, it's always been, at least with this show, always been. It's only 4 episodes in, but with this show, we know what happens to Cassian Andor at the end of Rogue One,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more the journey of how he got there. And
Sure.
so it's more it's less about will he survive and more about how did he get there, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
in that way, I think it's really fun. And the other thing and we talked about this, that I find really compelling about it is it's so real how such a small minor thing can escalate into this world changing event, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really think about it, him defending himself against a couple of corrupt security guards, and this isn't a spoiler, this happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie, has the butterfly effect of him being responsible for getting the plans to the Death Star, right?
Ultimately, yeah.
Ultimately, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
that event that starts a chain reaction, and I think that the show does an excellent job of that. The sort of, because it's always some, in most of these shows it's always some grand thing, right?
Uh-huh.
um, and for it to just be such a small insignificant event that has such catastrophic, or not catastrophic, but monumental impact on the fate of the galaxy. And listen to me being a Star Wars nerd right now. It's just, I just thought that was really cool, and by doing it that way, it drew me in, and it all of a sudden became about, oh wow, cool. Now I want to see what the rest of the journey is to get him to Rogue One, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
my biggest complaint about the show right now is Rogue One came out over 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, Diego Luna looks 6 years older. you know,
Really? You think so? Like I
I think
couldn't.
I think he does.
Yeah, I haven't watched Rogue One
I
since it hits the theater, so.
Yeah, I did a couple of articles on Andor for work, and so I was going back through Rogue One, and he looks older, so it's,
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of, with this kind of thing, you just sort of have to um, it's a matter of suspending disbelief at that
Mm-hmm.
point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, hopefully season 4 picks up for you more, and you like it more. And I know you kind of gave up on Rings of Power, so I won't keep banging that drum.
We might go back to it if we have nothing else to watch, but right now we have in our queue. So I'll keep watching Andor. It's good enough to keep me,
Okay.
watching it, and so I'll Amit and I will watch it through its entirety. I think it's only 6 episodes anyway, right? It's not
Yeah,
that
I think it's like the
long.
plan is like do 12 episodes over 2 seasons, if I'm remembering
Oh,
correctly. Yeah.
okay, all right. So yeah, some more episodes left. Fine, we'll watch them. Yeah, Rings of Power. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know. It's gonna have to fight with Atlanta. Atlanta's final season's out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed pretty much every season except for the last season. It was kind of weird, but it's okay. I
Mm.
mean, but yeah. So we got that to watch. So
Well,
there's some other stuff on our plate.
there's I don't know what the context is, but I know that there's a scene, I think in this season, I think it's season 4, where they're in
Mhm.
a school theater,
Okay.
and that was filmed at the Gwinnett School of the Arts. And I did sound design for a play there, and I taught
Oh,
an
cool.
improv workshop there. So whenever you see a theater know that I was on that stage. I did work on that stage.
Well, that's cool though. But again, the show is called Atlanta, right?
Yeah, right. So
So
I mean,
yeah, so that's
Gwinnett is
cool.
not anywhere near Atlanta, but I mean, it's near-ish Atlanta. But the School of the Arts isn't. The School of the Arts is almost like an hour outside of Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's up in Lawrenceville, which means nothing to anybody who doesn't live in Atlanta. Um,
So
but
why do you
yeah,
think they chose that theater? Just because it
it's
has a very
really
visual,
nice.
striking.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's brand new. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, brand
Huh.
new as of
Okay.
last year. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, cool. I'll definitely keep an eye out for that as we watch it. So yeah, there's plenty of other stuff that's kind of pushing Rings of Power to the side a little bit for
yeah, no, I get it. I
viewing.
totally get it. But speaking
Yeah.
of, and you're gonna have to
Yeah.
bump this to the top of your queue, and here's where I hijack things.
Uh-huh.
Dairy Girls season 3 is out, and I watched the first episode, and we talked about this. And you always worry when a show comes back after a long hiatus. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
happened so many times, which is like, oh, it's just lost its magic. Nope, it is uproarious. It is hilarious, as the first two
See,
seasons were.
yeah, see, and that's gonna again push the notch down for Rings of Power. Like I'm gonna Dairy Girls for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And like how I can't. Dairy Girls is hilarious. I love that show. But yeah, I've been waiting to want to. I've been waiting to want to just set aside some time to binge watch like 3 episodes maybe at a time. And so I
Hmm.
don't want to just sample it. I want to make sure I really have a good chunk of time. So how many episodes are you in?
I only watched one so far.
Wow.
I'm really trying to just. I'll probably watch one after our stream tonight, but
Huh?
I'm trying not to just like binge through the whole thing, right?
Because you want it to last.
I
You
want to
to,
last and
yeah.
I want to enjoy
Your
it.
viewing
Yeah.
habits are different than mine. Like I'm completely a glutton. Just give me all of it, greed, and just deadly sin it, and just eat it
Yeah,
all.
yeah. I can be
Yeah,
that way, but with Dairy Girls, it's just sort of like you want the
I
laughter to keep
know.
going, right? So
That's the sign of a good show, though, right? Because you don't
yeah,
want it to end, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's the highest accolades you give a show. So I was bummed when it was, when it was wrapped up. How many years has it been now since
God,
between
at least 2 years.
Feels like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
because
here's my fear,
yeah,
and maybe you can, quash this, but like, because I haven't seen it in so long, because I watched them when they were relatively new on Netflix, so it feels like it's been forever since I've seen the cast or anybody who's seen the show.
well, I came
So
into
am
it
I out of the
late.
loop?
No, 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 no. I came into it late, so I got a couple of recommendations. You were one of them, and by this point, the first 2 seasons had long been out, right? So
Yeah.
it may have been 2 years, more than 2 years. I'm just, I came to the party late, but no, Dairy Girls. I think it just premiered today or like last weekend. I mean, it's really new.
Hmm.
I think it was the 7th. So yeah, so 3 days ago. Yeah, on Friday.
But do you feel like you were out of the loop because you haven't seen it in a while? I know you.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see
Yeah,
what you
like
mean.
there's a gap, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. Like, what's that show? The Witcher on
Hmm.
Netflix too. It feels like it's been forever since I've seen The Witcher season 1. So I tried watching whatever season they're on. I just couldn't do it. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't want to rewatch the show because I didn't enjoy it that much to want
Yeah.
to rewatch the show. And I remember Yennefer was given away. She was, you know, she made some spells, and now her and the Witcher are into each other. Like, I don't know, there's some stuff like that, but I don't know what's going on anymore. And that's my fear with Dairy Girls. Now, Dairy Girls is much, I would not that it's a bad thing, but I think it's a more simpler show. You just follow these kids around, and they're hijinks, and they're hilarious. So
By and
maybe there's not
large,
much.
yeah. It's as long
Okay.
as you remember the archetypes of the characters, you should have no
Oh,
problems getting back into
okay.
it. It
So
barely references anything from the previous seasons.
okay,
The
that's
last episode of season 2 involved that historic trip that Bill Clinton took to Ireland,
good. Uh-huh.
and they don't even everything is just sort of back to normal. Everything
Okay.
is fine. It's
Okay.
just the usual stuff. So if you remember the general archetypes of those characters, you won't have any problems leaping right back into it.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah, but yeah, I can't wait to watch it. It's gonna be I'm sure it'll be hilarious. You were saying it's absolutely funny, everything, nothing.
Oh,
They
yeah.
haven't missed a beat.
Yeah. Haven't missed a beat at all. There's a great cameo that I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
So I'll keep that to myself. But it's really good. And then, um, speaking of continuing to hijack the conversation, I'm going to do it some more.
Yeah.
I had to. I did it for work. I actually don't know if I would have watched it otherwise. Hulu just did a new Hellraiser movie. It's a complete reboot. It's not a sequel. Um,
Oh.
it
Okay.
doesn't have anything to do. There's no thematically. It's very similar. They bring back a lot of the sort of iconic elements of the original films. Um, in particular, the first two, which were the best. Um, but it's not the same story. It's not the same characters. Well, that's not entirely true. The Hell Priest, who colloquially is known as Pinhead, and the
Mhm.
Chatterer, they make a return, but obviously they've been completely recast. Um,
Okay.
um, but it's really good. If you like that kind of movie, right? I mean, if you don't like that kind of body horror, demonic, satanic kind of horror flick, it's not going to be for you, regardless of its overall quality.
Uh
But if you
huh.
like makeup effects and you like that kind of body horror stuff, or you just like horror in general, um, I was expecting it to be awful, especially given how little marketing Hulu did around it.
Uh huh.
Um, and it was great. I mean, it was really really good.
Okay. Um. I don't remember. I watched one of the. I don't know how many Hellraisers they made.
At least
Um.
7.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The only '80s horror that I really couldn't get into, and it's only because of the video game, was the
Mm.
Friday the 13th Jason movies.
Mm.
So I enjoyed this only later on. Like I didn't appreciate them in the '80s because I wasn't allowed to watch them. They're rated R.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of a mama's boy. I have to listen to my mom if she'd yell at
No,
me.
I know.
Go inside.
I was the same way for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Unless my dad wanted to watch something and he didn't have any choice but to have me with him. That's how I got to see.
oh, so that's how you yeah.
That's how I got to see Die Hard in theaters.
Oh man, see,
Because
you're
that was what
lucky.
'88, so I was 7.
Wow. Yeah, but so I watched like one of the Hellraisers much later on in the
Mhm.
series. It's probably five or something.
Mhm.
I just remember like there was some spiky box and a bunch of chains going everywhere and hitting people all over the place. And I thought this is kind of gross. I don't know. I couldn't get it. I just didn't.
Oh yeah, it's very much a body horror movie, right? Like
So this is
flayed
what you mean by
skin and yeah.
okay. So that's what you mean by
Hooks
body
going
horror.
into things. Yeah.
I've never heard that term before. I don't know if that's something that you've coined or is that actually a genre of horror movie.
I definitely didn't coin it. I mean, like, the term has sort of changed to gore porn now.
Oh, okay. All right.
But when I was younger, it was called body horror. Like, Hostel is what
Okay.
sort of changed it from
Oh
body
yeah.
horror to gore porn, right? But I mean,
Okay.
Hostel is a body horror movie too, right?
Uh-huh.
Disfigurement, mutilation, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Um, but whereas um, Hostel was all real world. It wasn't. It was all just kind of took place in Eastern Europe, and the bad guys were just human beings, right? Hellraiser is these demons from an alternate hell dimension come when they're
Hmm.
summoned by solving the puzzle cube. And interestingly, like the main character Pinhead in the original films, and just the Hell Priest in the new one, um, which is what it was actually called in the novella that Clive Barker wrote and then adapted into the first film. Um, um, the Hell Priest doesn't actually kill that many people, right? The Hell
Okay.
Priest is almost more of a herald than anything else,
Hmm.
and its underlings. They're the ones who kind of do all the wet work, so to speak.
The
Um,
wet work. Yeah, that's a good term.
um, but no, it's quite good. It really really retains the, the subtext of the first two films. Like that was sort of the problem with the later Hellraiser movies, is it lost some of it lost a lot of the subtlety of what made the first two movies really interesting, because it's a nature of um, the nature. It's sorry, I'm stammering right now. The first two movies were a discussion of the nature of desire and what happens when desire becomes an obsession, and the
Okay.
consequences therein. And it does it in this very, very obviously graphically violent way, but it is ultimately about the nature of human desire and what it means to succumb to that desire without any sort of boundaries.
Okay.
And it's really great. I mean, like all horror is at its best when there's some sort of subtext to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why Hostel was so boring to me, is because it was just an excuse to, splash fake blood everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really. There's nothing particularly interesting about it. But the original Hellraiser and Friday the 13th and Last House on the Left and a lot of those 70s and 80s horror movies did really, really interesting things with social commentary and just the nature of humanity and that kind of stuff. And I really liked it as a result. And so I was pretty dubious about the remake, but no,
Mm-hmm.
they're very, very respectful of the source material, and they brought back that subtext, that discussion of the nature of when desire becomes an obsession.
Hmm.
It was, yeah, just really, really, I really enjoyed it, surprisingly. So
And it's just one movie, right? It's not a
yeah, just
series
one
or anything
movie.
like that.
No, no, I thought it was a series originally, actually, but it
Yeah, I
turns out
thought so too.
it was just
Yeah.
a single movie, and it was really good. Yeah, really, really. If you like that kind of horror movie, and I know it's not for everybody, it's really good. It's really respectful of the source material.
Hmm.
Really, the people who made it clearly loved the original movies. Clearly loved the original movies.
Hmm.
They treat the original films with reverence without being bogged down by the source material. So yeah, I highly, highly enjoyed it. Really recommend it.
Yeah. Now, only because of the nature of body horror
Yeah.
or gore porn. I don't know if I'm gonna. This one I may have to just skip. I just couldn't get into it back in the '80s, and I don't know if it's treating the sword material, with reverence with the '80s. I wasn't in the '80s version, so I don't know if I'm gonna watch it.
No, if you
Sadly.
didn't really care about the original, it's not gonna win any over new
Yeah.
fans, right? If
Yeah.
you didn't
Yeah.
like the original, you're not gonna like the new one, and any new viewers are gonna be people who like that genre of horror who haven't seen
Got
the
it.
originals, right?
Okay.
So
All right. Well. Well. Yeah. I'll keep it in mind, but I think I'm more. I'm gonna wait for another Jason movie. I think more than anything else at this point.
mm.
This is more where my juvenile brain goes, I suppose. Yeah.
Speaking of movies that sort of lost the thread in Friday the 13th movies, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Jason X. It is just the silliest movie.
That's the one. Is that the one in space?
Yeah, that's Jason in
Ugh.
space. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
dumb. I
Yeah.
liked it more than Freddy versus Jason, honestly.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I've gone back. The reason why I've even done this is because my interest in Jason. Because again, I wasn't allowed to watch Friday the 13th as a kid, but as an adult, I played the Friday the 13th game a lot, online, and I thought it was the most hilarious game I've played in years. I couldn't stop laughing. I just thought
Hmm.
it was over the top violent. I thought it was just absurd and silly. Like what this game is sourcing for its material, this stuff must have happened in the movies. And yes, a lot of these kill moves and stuff like that are they're hilarious, and they're hilarious to see in the movies too. If you just don't take them seriously. Now I can understand if you're a little kid, you probably get scarred for life for watching some of that stuff. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Then again, I think Amita watched a lot of those scary movies. She's unfazed, so I don't know. It just depends on the person, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it
Me,
does.
I
Yeah.
probably, I would probably be scarred for life. I get scared from stuff like that as a little kid. Now I'm tough, but
Yeah, yeah. You're a
in the
big man
beginning,
now.
yeah, I'm a big man now. Anyway, but yeah, the Jason game really got me into the movies. I was watching them back to back for a while. Those first three are really good.
Yeah, they actually
Um,
are. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The first two
specifically.
especially. Three is
Hmm.
okay, but then when four comes around and then Jason goes to New York is what was that
Yeah,
five? I
I
think
don't know.
it was
Then
so
it started
bad.
becoming a parody. Then it
Yeah,
became a
then it became a
parody.
true parody.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So I don't know. Like, I'm curious if Hellraiser kind of went that same path where it became a parody by number seven. Like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of did the same. All those '80s horror monster guys, they all kind of did that. Freddy did the same thing, right? They did tons of, and then they ran out of ideas and they started making them verse each other and stuff like that, right? Did
Well,
Hellraiser
yeah.
ever verse anybody? That
No,
came out?
Hellraiser always stayed very serious.
Okay.
Even when they went to Hellraiser in space, it wasn't intended to be um, parody. It was like just they took it very seriously. I mean, the premise of, and I don't remember the title of it. I think it was the fourth movie. Anyway, it's irrelevant. um, but the
Is that
premise
the one
is that
in,
like somewhere in the future, some astronaut figures out a way that he thinks he can trap all of the Cenobites, and so he builds this massive space station and intentionally summons them so he can trap and ultimately kill them. And then, of course, everything goes wrong.
okay. I mean, is that the one where the space station itself is the cube and it
Mm-hmm.
actually transforms? I think that's the one I saw.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it was kind of cool. The sci-fi aspect of it I actually liked.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just couldn't get into the whole spears hitting people in the cheek and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, it's too uncomfortable.
I mean, if I want to watch sci-fi body horror, I'll just watch Event Horizon again. That's
Yeah,
still
that one freaked me out. That's a
it's a great
great
movie.
horror
Period.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, is Sam Neill in that one?
Yeah. He's Sam
Yeah.
Neill's in it.
Oh my
And
gosh,
Lawrence
what a movie.
Fishburne is in it.
Yep,
And
what a great cast and
oh yeah.
and that's a scary movie.
And I'm almost certain of this. Let me check before I expose my ignorance. But I'm almost certain that I'm right about this. Oh god, and the production design and the lighting design and
Yeah,
just the set design. I mean, every aspect of that movie was just it was it was so good. I can't
yep.
believe. Yeah, it was. You know who directed it?
Who?
Paul W.S. Anderson.
He's what is he? What else has he done?
He did Resident Evil and Monster Hunter and all of these really cheesy video game adaptations.
Oh,
That's him. But he started
wow.
off like I don't know if this was his first movie, but he
So really, he
definitely.
started out. He started with a really good movie like that, though.
Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. He directed the first Mortal Kombat as well. Yeah, he's
So
just yeah.
Mortal Kombat to me is actually not a bad video game translation
No,
movie.
it actually yeah. I mean, it doesn't hold up, but in its day, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and it's still I will debate this with anybody. I think it still has one of the best sound. That theme music for Mortal Kombat nothing's all the Mortal Kombat's that come after that in film or TV. Nothing's come close to that
Mm-hmm.
theme song. I mean, it gets you amped to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but man, that's cool. So we did Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, and even Resident Evil, the first one. I thought it was okay. I
Yeah,
mean, it's almost a good movie.
it
You know?
was close. Yeah, Event
Yeah,
Horizon was his second major movie.
yeah. What a
So
great movie.
it's like you really see that and you go, oh man, this guy is going somewhere. But then the next thing he
Yeah.
did was Soldier with Kurt Russell, and it was like,
Oh,
oh man,
see, I didn't mind that one. I thought it was
really?
okay.
It was okay. Well,
You know what
agree
it
to
is?
disagree, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't. I thought it was it was slow. Yeah. Kind of boring. I guess I'm a Kurt Russell fan. I just
No, I love
anything
Kurt. He's one of my favorite actors ever, and I
Yeah, he's a
still
great
didn't like
actor.
Soldier.
Oh man, that's a lot, man. Jeez. Yeah, I think there's a bias there, for Kurt Russell. So I wanted to enjoy it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Although I think Kurt Russell's best movie, I don't know where you're at, but I think it was The Thing.
That's 82. I mean, that was early in his career. I mean,
Yeah.
he was great in
Or
The Thing.
Escape from New York is another one, right?
Yeah. Escape
Um,
from New York, Tombstone, Hateful Eight. I mean, the list of good movies that he's done is
yeah,
it's extensive.
yeah.
He was played the villain in Death Proof, and that he was
Mhm,
great in that.
mhm,
Let's
mhm.
see. Just thinking of movies off the top of my head where he was in them. Oh yeah, he was in that horrible Steven Seagal movie,
Well, there you go.
Executive Decision,
I like that movie. I thought it was great.
with
And
John
he's able to
Leguizamo
direct.
and
Yeah, that was such a good movie because they killed Steven
Steven
Seagal
Seagal in like the first 10 minutes.
that was what made it so good. Like, yes, I was on board with that movie. As soon as they did that, I was like, yes, as soon as it's gonna be great. And then Kurt Russell ends up being
Yeah, I mean, he's
you
phenomenal.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, he ends up being the guy that's, he's the savior guy. He's like this. What a
Yeah.
great! I love that movie.
Yeah, no, I love Kurt Russell. He's a great action star. Yeah.
I think you know what? There's only one movie that I couldn't really. I could always fall asleep to, and that's Big Trouble in Little China.
Really?
Yeah, I know, and it's a cult. Everybody
Wow.
loves that movie.
Yeah, how
I
could
can't. I fall asleep,
it
and
was
as
wasn't
a
that
Kurt
John
Russell
Carpenter?
fan. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I like John Carpenter. Anything John
Yeah.
Carpenter, I know it's got all the chocolate chips, all the sugar, brown sugar, everything I want for a chocolate chip cookie movie. Which for me to enjoy, but I can't.
Yeah, it was
Can't get
John
into it.
Carpenter. I'm disappointed in you right now. I'm
I know,
sorry.
man.
I
I know.
I'm gonna have to take a minute and
Yeah, I apologize too. I understand. It's just I can't. I just can't do it.
I mean it's how any movie with James Hong in it has to be
I
good.
know. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like I have Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Whenever I watch the movie, I just fall asleep. It's just something about it is
Wow.
soothing to me or
Wow.
something. I don't know what it is. I can't. Yeah, and it's embarrassing. I'll admit it though.
Oh no, no.
I
I
admit.
mean, I have all sorts of embarrassing things. I don't like Resident Evil 4. I mean, we've had this conversation before,
Oh,
so yeah.
I don't
See, there you
remember
go.
us
There's your
having this.
groans. See. So no one's
Really?
perfect. No one's perfect.
I don't remember having that combo with you about RE4.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I never
Yeah.
cared for it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole other stream we can go into for that
I
one.
mean, the thing was, the other thing too is though, it wasn't the concept of it that bothered me because Dead Space came out a couple of years later, and Dead Space
Hmm.
is just
Yeah.
the first two games are just masterpieces in my opinion.
Hmm.
And in this, tying it back in, a huge amount of inspiration for that game came from Hellraiser.
Yeah, I'm wondering about like did the game director say that he was inspired by Hellraiser
Um, I
to make
don't,
that game?
I don't know if he's explicitly stated, but there's no
But
way
it
that
feels
the creative
it
director
feels
was
so
not inspired by Hellraiser.
yeah, it had all that same ambience, to the game
Hmm.
when you're just kind of like like it's just the whole game is haunted. The way you
Hmm.
play it, it's so good.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like it's one of those things where I mean they're making the remake's coming out really soon,
Yeah,
but
they're remaking the first one. I played
yeah,
through it so many times. I just don't.
yeah, it's like yeah, exactly.
It's
Me
the same
too.
game with better graphics. Like graphics
Hmm.
don't really, they don't really drive me to revisit games. Honestly.
See, now
Um,
this is a game. Now I know you had I know we talk about this. Like one of your peeves is you don't like having games rely on a story too much. But in this game, to me, it really tells a story through its
hmm
gameplay. Like there's nothing you can do about it to change that.
hmm
You are forced to play Isaac all the way through, and you can mess around if you want, but you just die. I mean, and that's I mean, it's one of the few games where it has all the perfect
Well, it does a
everything.
great job of ambient storytelling on top of everything else,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and just in the way that the violence and the tension escalates over the course of the game, and yeah, it's just and the mechanic, the really kind of turning the shooter on its head, where you rather than aim for the head or the center of mass, you have to cut off
Yep.
the limbs. It was, you know, it was cool, and it was so funny how like it just became muscle memory. Like cut off the limbs, stomp on their body just to make sure they were dead. You just walk around limb, stomp, stomp, stomp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, at least for me, like being frugal with my ammo, because I mean,
Hmm.
you had to just dismember them just enough, so then you could just use melee attacks to just save your ammo, and that way you're hoping that they drop something for you to keep on going through the game, with your invested item. Now, obviously, I think everybody pretty much agrees the plasma cutter is
I
probably the
mean, that
best
was
item,
yeah,
the
that was
best
the one.
gun.
I don't know that anybody used anything other than the plasma cutter, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I did like the saw, whatever it's called,
Yeah,
the
the
saw
saw was
blade
fun.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that really satisfying to use. But yeah, it's one of the few games where you start out with the base weapon, and that could be your final weapon for the
Hmm.
game. That's genius stuff, for a
Hmm.
game. That
Well,
you can
the funny
play
thing
with.
is that the reason I think one of the reasons why I liked it is because I learned that harsh lesson in Resident Evil 4. I like to play, right? And so every time I got
Yeah,
a new toy in Resident Evil 4, I'd start upgrading it.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's like, no, no, no. Someone explained to me, like, no, no, no. You just have to pick one gun and then just use it for the entire game and only upgrade that one weapon. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh, well, that sucks. because I like to play. But then, taking that knowledge about Resident Evil 4, I just went into Dead Space going, you know what? I'm just going to use the plasma cutter. I don't even know if this is going to be good, but I'm just only going to use the plasma cutter. I'm going to upgrade it to the end, and then that's it, right? And then it turns out to be like a beast. Like it is the best gun in the entire game.
Yeah, it's really it's a awesome weapon. Yeah. Yeah, and then on top of that, it's pretty versatile. You can flip it around, to go either way. It's such a good, And but there's some really great, there's some great weapons in the game though. They're just fun to play with. But yeah, like you're saying, you're kind of limited with them.
Interestingly, it's this really small little game that came out originally on the Wii, and then they adapted it to the PlayStation 3 when the PlayStation Move came out. But I don't remember what it's called, like Dead Space Insurrection or something like that. It was a light gun game, but it was maybe the best light gun game I've ever played. It was really good.
That was the game that was on rails too, right?
Yeah, it was an on-rail shooter.
I never played that one. I wanted to, and I never got around to it. But,
it was quite good. It takes place like in the hours before the artifact activates, and then in the ensuing hours afterwards, and it kind of ends as Isaac shows up on the Ishimura.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a prequel of sorts to Dead Space.
Okay, all right.
But it's really good. I mean, it was really, really entertaining for a light gun game. I mean, Dead Space and Dead Space 2 were better, but it was probably the best light gun game I've ever played.
So here's my thing. I don't understand why people kind of hate on Dead Space 3. I'm getting this some sense because you've admitted Dead Space 3 a couple times now. You didn't like Dead Space 3.
I didn't like how the whole game was built around co-op, and they turned it into a cover-based shooter for the most part, and they dropped a lot of the lurking horror aspect of it, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I was looking for more than anything else.
Did you play co-op with anybody, or did you try to do a solo?
I didn't. That was the problem. I didn't have anybody to play with, and I suspect that if I had someone to play with, I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, we should have played it together then. I played it co-op. I loved it. I thought it was a great game because it just probably what you said. Because as you play through with co-op, you have Isaac and you have I can't remember the guy's name. But they're slowly there's like a element of I don't know this there's an element of craziness kind of happening in their minds where they're seeing things, stuff like that, and you can only if you play co-op you'll see stuff that your friend doesn't see on the other side of playing with you, and that's what makes it so fun because it's actually more the experience is outside of the game where you're like, did you see that? And then your friend's like, no, I didn't on mic, and like there's something over there in the corner, and then you start shooting it, and then meanwhile your friend's like, well, I don't see what you're shooting at. You're just shooting at nothing. And like that happens so much in the game.
Really cool.
What made it, yes. Yeah. So maybe we should play it for one of these days, like you and I.
I think I sold it. I don't think I have my copy anymore. It's probably on Steam at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably going to be cheap, but if you ever wanted to go back and revisit it, play it co-op and you'll have a different experience. I'm sure you'll have a different opinion about it.
And I don't remember anything about that game at this point. I didn't even beat it. I gave up on it very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't imagine playing it solo. I never played it solo, so I don't even know what that would have been like.
Not the same experience as what you're describing. That's for sure. No.
Yeah. That's a shame. But yeah, anyway, maybe they'll remake it, or we'll try to figure out time to play it then or something. Who knows? But yeah, first let's see how Dead Space 1 goes. But yeah, people are amped about it, but I'm with you. I played the first one so much that I just don't have no... I love the experience I had and the memories I have with it. I don't need to play it again. Like I already, it's fine.
It won't scare me anymore. That's part of the problem. It's just like I've gone through it. I know how the sausage is made, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's bloody and violent and all that, but it's still sausage. Anyway, well, we're at 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny, like, with us talking, and again, I think I monopolized a little bit of that first part, so then we righted the ship, and we were able to both talk about other stuff here. But while it was all happening, I got some poses in here. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, so we got this stuff and other is again just the key poses and some fine tunings happen, but we got that going on. We have the lean in pose
Mm-hmm.
now in here. So yeah, we covered some ground tonight as we're talking about stuff. And I was almost to this pose here, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
get there probably next week.
Cool. Very cool.
So
Maybe
yeah.
I'll run into Jeff between now and then and see if we can bring him on
Mm-hmm.
board as a
Mm-hmm.
guest. But before we close, tomorrow it's Penny's 13th birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, can you believe that?
That's crazy.
I've had that.
Jeez.
I've had that one since I was 29 years old.
Wow. Well, happy birthday,
Yeah.
future birthday to her tomorrow.
In a matter of hours, she'll be
That's
13.
crazy.
Old girl's hanging in there, so
That's good.
yeah,
That's good. Yeah, she's a tough one
yeah.
for sure. After that.
God, she's had a couple of weird things that she keeps pulling through them, so I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we'll close it out there. Before we go, as always, you can check us out on Patreon. You go to calamityjane.rocks. We'll take you right to our Patreon site. Please consider subscribing and helping us make this crazy little cartoon a reality. You can also find us on Facebook, Calamity Jane Adventure Hour. We use it to post any updates. Mostly we just use it to post links to our stream, which you can find on YouTube. And then also make sure to check out Twitter at Jane Salamander. We do most weeks a 3-tweet story, so you can kind of catch up on the fun. And the cool part is if you read those, you're getting sort of inside scoops on stuff that's going to happen in the future. And it won't make sense. I mean, we try to make it funny and self-contained, but there may not be a lot of context for it, at least in the short term. But if you go back and read all the tweets, and then if we can keep making this cartoon, you'll go, oh my God, these guys really did think about this cartoon way too much.
Yeah, way too much. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
in any case, I think that's about it. Please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. I think that was required by law. I know last time I got fined like $500 for not saying like and subscribe, but so.
I guess everybody does that on YouTube. Yeah, they
Yeah,
have to say
apparently,
it.
right? So you kind of have to say it.
I'll say on the flip side, I'll get fined, but you don't have to like and subscribe if you don't want to. Show up and hang out. You're welcome to.
But
Whatever.
at the very least, we do this stream live every week. So please consider hopping on 9:30 p.m. East Coast, 6:30 p.m. West Coast, and we've got a chat up. I do monitor it, and join in. Tell us we're idiots and wrong about everything that we're talking about. Tell us how much you love James's cartoon. Ask us questions about the show. We'd love to chat with you, so consider tuning in for us.
It helps if you're a nerd like us too.
Definitely.
So if you want to speak nerd speak,
yeah. If
here's the place.
Yeah, if your chat message is "What's a movie?" I don't know that we can help you. But beyond that, anyway, I think that's about all of the housekeeping to be done. We're gonna let you go and have a good night, everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Right.